Caitlin Clark out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this season.
Caitlin Clark just slammed the brakes on the entire 2025 season, and the internet is unraveling faster than a loose thread on a cheap sweater. One statement from her, and suddenly fans are torn between crying, rioting, or cooking up conspiracy theories about Gatorade and the stars aligning. This isn't a headline you casually scroll by. It's the kind that grabs you by the collar and shouts, "Wake up, everything just flipped upside down."
Not surprising at this point, but still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season.
So here we are, staring down the brutal possibility that Caitlin Clark's basketball fairy tale just hit its last page way too early. The same player who turned every arena into a sold-out spectacle, who dragged casual fans into caring about women's hoops, now sits on the sideline looking like the most heartbreaking what-if in years. And let's be real, the whispers are already spreading. Is this the end? Could one injury really wipe away the hype, the records, the ESPN highlight reels, and leave her stamped with the cruelest label of all, a one-season wonder?
A statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me, and for the Fever, brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the..."
Because here's the harsh truth. The sports world has the memory span of a goldfish. One day you're the golden child of basketball, the next you're a trivia answer people toss around while arguing if the 2026 rookie is the next big thing. Caitlin Clark had a rookie season that looked like a rocket launch to superstardom. Now she's stuck with a medical chart grim enough to make even her most diehard fans start Googling athletes who never made it back. It's brutal. Sports doesn't care how many jerseys you sold, how many kids worshipped you, or how many highlight reels you owned. It only cares about one thing. Can you keep showing up?
Have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, you know, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA, but the good news is her career is not over. But, you know, it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And, you know, ever since Stephanie White's...
And right now, Caitlin Clark isn't showing up on the court. She's showing up behind microphones, reading carefully crafted statements that feel more like PR spin than battle cries. The energy isn't "I'll be back stronger." It's closer to "please don't forget about me while I disappear into the rehab void."
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, "Hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement?" Like that, like, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, you know, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the air.
Of course, the trolls are having the time of their lives. The same people who couldn't even spell her name last year are suddenly acting like orthopedic surgeons. They're already predicting she'll never dribble again, branding her the Greg Oden of women's basketball before she's even cashed her second paycheck. Savage? Absolutely. But that's the internet. If you're not performing, you're still entertainment, just in a darker, meaner way. Some athletes bounce back like they're built from rubber bands. Others crumble like a stale cookie. And right now, nobody really knows which side of that line Caitlin Clark will fall on. Will she be the comeback story that defies every doubt, or the cautionary tale everyone points to when reminding themselves that hype doesn't guarantee longevity? It's almost cruel how fast the script flipped. Not long ago, she was torching defenses, dropping points like a video game glitch, and grinning through post-game interviews like she'd cracked the code to basketball itself.
There you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the...
Now, every update on Caitlin Clark's condition reads like a daytime soap script. Will she ever return? Will she be the same player? Has her confidence cracked? Stay tuned for the next episode. Fans aren't glued to highlight reels anymore. They're poring over medical reports because it's easier than admitting the unthinkable. Maybe they already watched her peak. The brutal truth is that not every career ends with a farewell tour, standing ovations, and a jersey in the rafters. Some just stop. For every inspiring comeback, there are a dozen athletes who quietly fade into trivia questions nobody bothers to answer. And why would they? Sports moves on without blinking. The media isn't making it any easier. Think pieces are already questioning if Clark was overrated, if she was nothing more than a hype machine, if this proves women's basketball can't sustain a true superstar the way the men's game can. It's exhausting, it's unfair, but it's exactly how this machine works.
Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever.
You can't just be
You can't just be injured anymore. You have to become a symbol. Something bigger, something dramatic, something that looks good plastered on a cheer-in. So Caitlin Clark's knee isn't just a knee anymore. It's suddenly the centerpiece of a debate about the future of the entire sport. And here's the elephant in the room. One season. That's all she got before the walls started crumbling. One magical run. One stack of viral highlights. 1 year of being the chosen one. If that ends up being her whole resume, how do we even define it? Was it true greatness? Or just a really entertaining fling with destiny? Sports history doesn't have much patience for short stories. It rewards sagas, dynasties, careers that stretch across decades. So the questions swirl endlessly. Will she ever return to form? Will the injury carve her down into a shadow of her old self? Could the Caitlin Clark era really be over before it even began? Here's the cruel twist, though. If she never makes it back, her legend might actually grow. Athletes who flame out early often get mythologized. We stop measuring what they were and start obsessing over what they could have been. And sometimes, that kind of ghost story echoes even louder than reality ever could.
Young lady finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're gonna have a meeting. Are you guys gonna let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's gonna be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First, we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first time we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
You can't just be injured anymore. You have to become a symbol. Something bigger, something dramatic, something that looks good plastered on a Cherin. So Caitlin Clark's knee isn't just a knee anymore. It's suddenly the centerpiece of a debate about the future of the entire sport. And here's the elephant in the room. 1 season. That's all she got before the walls started crumbling. 1 magical run. 1 stack of viral highlights. 1 year of being the chosen one. If that ends up being her whole resume, how do we even define it? Was it true greatness? Or just a really entertaining fling with destiny? Sports history doesn't have much patience for short stories. It rewards sagas, dynasties, careers that stretch across decades. So the questions swirl endlessly. Will she ever return to form? Will the injury carve her down into a shadow of her old self? Could the Caitlin Clark era really be over before it even began? Here's the cruel twist, though. If she never makes it back, her legend might actually grow. Athletes who flame out early often get mythologized. We stop measuring what they were and start obsessing over what they could have been. And sometimes, that kind of ghost story echoes even louder than reality ever could.